The fuck are we doing here? What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's NFL Talk with Jay. We here every single day, man. It's all business, my guys. We're not calling in, man. It's all business. If you guys know, I do this for the people. NFL picks, college football picks, NBA, WNBA, all that good stuff, man. Just trying to help the people cash. So today's video will be about week 4 NFL picks. Also talking some Thursday night football. I'm not here to waste your time. Let's get into some games, my guys. Appreciate everybody in the chat as well, guys. I gotta let them know if you're here watching, I appreciate your time. If you're going back watching late, regardless, I appreciate your time, man. We always trying to get this cash, my guys. But let's get to it, man. Where's Shark at, man? Shark say send the link. Shark, I don't know, man. Shark say he a little. It's all good, man. We're gonna get this shit over with. I got stuff I gotta do anyway. Thursday night football, man. Let's get straight to it. We got the Bengals laying 3.5 points, guys. This line was open up at 1.5. See what I'm saying? I always say with this football, with NFL, if you really like something, you have to kind of stay ahead of the curve, guys. You have to. I know a lot of people don't try to look into the future, but you have to, man. Some of these shit's gonna move. Now it's moved past the key number. Could have gotten at 1.5, could have got it at 2.5, or even 3. Now it's up to 3.5, even with a 4 popping out there. Everybody's on the Dolphins here. The Dolphins seems easy to take, guys. I'm here to let you know that their defense was on the field for 90 plays last week, guys. You know what? Let's go to Conspiracy J. No one's thinking like this, right? Nobody thinks about the mindset of the players. I do. And I think that's the way to do it. They got a hurricane over there at Miami, guys. They got a hurricane in Florida. If it's me, we got to take ourselves and put ourselves in the player's position. If we're playing the game and the whole hurricane is hitting our state, we're worried about our families. We're worried about, hey, what's going on with the house? Even though they're rich, got plenty of money, still, you're going to worry about the well-being of your family, neighbors, things like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of distractions, in my opinion, for anybody that lives in the state of Florida. The Dolphins head on the road here to Cincinnati. You find a 1-2 Bengals team that, even though they're coming off a win versus the Jets, they need this game, right? They need this game. I know that they do have the Ravens on deck as a divisional, but still, sitting at 1-2, you don't want to go 1-3. You want to go 2-2. It's time to start stacking up some wins for the defending AFC champions here. I like the Bengals, guys. I did take them at -2.5 at -3, but I still like the 3.5. You see what I'm saying? This is mainly a play that the Dolphins defense, first off, their heads may not all the way be in the game. They're coming off a huge win versus the Bills as well. Started out 3-0 straight up and against the spread, but with the distractions and their defense possibly being gassed in the second half of this one, I see the Bengals really pulling away in the second half of this game. I also seeing, like, depending on what happens in the first half, maybe the second half over or team total over for the Bengals is the play here, guys. So that's the breakdown. Dolphins, huge, a lot of distractions with the weather going on down in Miami and down in Florida. A lot of people are not thinking about this type of stuff, but I do. So I think that's the distraction. Letdown spot coming off a huge win versus the Bills, that they got out-yarded, out-gained, all that good stuff. But also, second half, I see their defense, their cornerbacks, the secondary really running out of gas in this one. It's tough to come out 90 plays, playing in that heat, even though they're used to it, going up to Cincinnati, and with travel as well. They got to travel. This is a really tough spot for the Miami Dolphins, if you ask me, my guys. I'll go official. I don't mind. Give me Bengals -3.5. I'll play some -3.5 with you guys. I see the Bengals winning this game by 10 points or more, guys. Really, mainly second half. So I'm saying, really, where I really think that this shit will come, it will be second half. Not to say they won't start out hot, because I think that they have some advantages, but full game is the play here. Bengals, I say the 3.5. I can't stand taking the 3.5s. I took 3, but I'll put some on 3.5 just so I'll have the same play with you guys. I do like this spot. I'd lean over as well, to be honest with you. I'd lean over. Way I'm looking at it, the Bengals team total overs should get there, and they should score majority of points. I do think the Dolphins will get some points. Well, last thing, a little bit of inside info. Obviously, Tua is gonna play. He does have an injured back and ankle, guys. So Tua may not be 100%. First of all, Waddle has a groin injury as well, so he's probably gonna play. But groin injury, you can't be. You know what I'm saying? You can't be playing football with the groin injury. Is tough. Running up and down the field. Growing? Are you serious? So any little wrong, Waddle could be coming out of the game. We know Tyreek Hill is a beast, but regardless, guys, I think this is a sell high spot for the Dolphins. It looks good. They just beat the best team in the NFL. It's easy, right? They're the underdog. This is gonna be easy. Just take Dolphins money line. I don't know, bro. It's just me personally. I like the Bengals in this one. I need it, my guys. Let's see what happened. What y'all got to say in the chat? No, the percentage of more. Yeah, I mean, if you like a side, guys, you don't have to. It doesn't matter about the percentage of the money. I always say that if you like, never bet a side just because of the money side. That's what I always say. Let's see what they saying. They didn't get any rain, or what? The rain didn't hit at all. What is he trying to say? I can dig it. You down for trifecta, Jay? The Jets have decent defense. Nah, hey, everybody in the chat, man. Tua won't be able to throw deep. That's a good point, Mo. It's a good point. Tyreek Hill running down the field. Hey, I can't even get him the ball. I like the Bengals in this one, guys, for a few different reasons. Tua not 100%, huge distraction down in Florida, and their defense coming off 90 plays of defense. I see them run out of gas in second half, so I don't mind. Let's go with the Bengals in this one, my guys. Jay, any thought on Bengals first half? I couldn't talk you off, but I didn't bet it. I hope it makes sense. I lean Bengals here. I lean them early and often, to be honest with you. And me in general, Thursday nights, I'd like to take the home team. I feel like they do have the advantage with the short week. They don't have a day taken out of their preparation for travel. You see what I'm saying? So give me the MF and Bengals, my guys. Let me see. Shark say you want to get in here, man. So let's see what happens, man. Come on, man. You get your water, my guy. He don't want me to be mad at him. That's why he coming on. I ain't gonna be mad at him, man. That's why I'm telling you, he's like, fuck, I don't want you to be mad at me, man. Shark on the Bengals too, man. Let's see what do you say? Jay Money needs to international tour. I wish, man. What's up, my brother? What we doing? Oh, damn. Just did an NBA show. Sorry, guys. International tour. Give me 1 second, Shark. Let me put my earpods in. Sorry, guys. We got to do some shit on the fly here. I got to make sure my pods. Let's get the Shark off in here, man. Let's cash some fucking tickets, man. All right. Sorry, guys. Watch the show. Maybe I'll try to cut that part out. But we here, man. What's up with you, Shark? What we doing? You like the Bengals, my brother?
Yeah, what's going on? Apologies for the late entrance. I was saying off the air, I had said I had a little headache last night. I was on there talking life and respect. Woke up a little late, but we're here, 4:09 Eastern, 3 o'clock, where Jay is in Texas. And we're talking some NFL football, Jay. I mean, jumping off what you said, absolutely. It's a great spot. And I saw people in the chat, again, shout to the chat, the best chat in sports YouTube right here. And, we're not capping the market. I know money's on it. I know people like the game. That doesn't dissuade us at all. We're looking at 53 on 53. We're looking at two professional units here competing. And what we're really looking at here is just an absolute brutal travel spot and dead zone emotional spot for a Miami team that is 3-0 ATS on the campaign. And you have to really go game by game. We talked about this last week. Week 1, New England cannot play football in Miami. They scored 7 points. Miami got fortunate in that game too. The offensive splits were very equal in that game. Then week 2, you go on the road to the Ravens. Here you are in week 4, road within the same division on the same number where they did cover. They were getting blown out in that game, 28-7. And I think we talked about this again last week, but it's worth noting again, the Ravens had that game completely in their grasp, and they just took their foot off the pedal. And then once that happened, they couldn't get back up to win the same game twice. And Miami had so much momentum in the fourth quarter. I believe Tua had 4 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter alone. And that was in that week. I believe there were 4 backdoors of epic proportions in week 2. It was Arizona, Falcons got the Rams, and of course, Miami, there was one other one. But that is just not symptomatic of how NFL football is always going to go. So this week, if the Bengals get a big lead, I don't see Miami having that type of wind, that type of energy. People were saying, I was watching before, 95 plays. They got absolutely dominated in that game.
Mm-hmm.
515 yards to like 220. I mean, it's astounding that the Buffalo actually didn't win that game when you look at the actual box score. I mean, we're talking about insane shit. Miami's way too hot ATS, brutal travel. Two of their covers, again, probably shouldn't have been a cover if you really look at long-term data dispersion. It's a great spot tonight, -3.5, Jay.
And Shark, and I took them to the psychological part as well, where you have the Dolphins worrying about their families and stuff down there in Florida, right? I don't think that's a part in the cap that anybody's thinking about. That's one of the main things with whatever sport. I try to look at this because they're human beings as well, guys. We can't just look at these guys like they're robots. They're professional athletes. They're rich as well, but these guys are human beings just like us. And I always say, Shark, if we were playing a football game away from home, there's a huge hurricane hitting, my mind is kind of going to be worried about what the hell is going on. So that's just a little snippet to how I think on these games, get into the psychology of the players. And I really think you can have an advantage there. So with that, Tua not being 100%, and them coming off a letdown spot as well, 3-0 ATS and straight up. And I believe they have a division game on deck as well. But regards to that, defense playing 90 plays, I do think they get gassed in the second half of this one, Shark. So I'm on Bengals -3, but I'll go official with 3.5. I don't mind. Shark, let's get to some more games, my brother, if you don't mind. Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, so we got the London game. Vikings laying 2.5 versus the New Orleans Saints here, guys. You may get what's the Taysom Hill? You may get a different or Andy Dalton's been taking the first team reps here, Sharks. So may not get a Winston in this game. How you looking at this one, London game?
This is incredibly tough. I mean, when you talk about tough travel, look no further than a game overseas. Of course, 9:30 a.m. That is, I believe, 2:30 p.m. over at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. And I think this is tough because, I mean, you go back to last week, we correctly faded the Saints in the lead-up game to the London game in the division at Carolina. And also, Minnesota laid down. I mean, they did backdoor the game against the Lions, but they played a terrible football game. And they were down 14 points late third quarter, and they needed some Dan Campbell sketchy calls within his scheme to really even get them to that point with a missed field goal, I believe, with about a minute to go. This is really tough stuff, though, when you get a loose environment like this and both teams coming off of lackluster efforts. I would lean the Saints here. Obviously, you just mentioned quarterbacks moving around, a lot of ambiguity here. Mm-hmm. I would lean the Saints purely from a psychological aspect. I was listening to Mark Ingram in an interview on NFL Network yesterday, and he was talking about how they're looking at this as a business trip to rally around each other and come off the loss, and really what is kind of a lackluster start to the season. I mean, they played 3 straight poor football games here on American soil. I think that does speak to what's going on here. I think this game is mostly psychology. When you see this line super short here at 2.5, it's going to be a coin flip game. And I think it's more so which group is going to rally around each other better overseas. For me, that is definitely the Saints.
Yeah, that's a good point there. I remember you were saying that we're wondering if the coach over there, Dennis Allen, is the real leader of men, but sometimes the players kind of have to take over as well. Like, screw the coaches, like, all right, guys, come on, we're better than this. And they really were getting smacked by the Panthers as well before they made a fourth quarter pushback as that one. And just the way that I look at games, possibly wait for Winston to get announced out. Wait till it go to 3.5, possibly. Then you get some extra value. And Andy Dalton may actually be an upgrade from Winston right now. I'm not a huge fan of Dalton at all. I'm not a big fan of him, but sometimes you can get an addition by subtraction with Winston out there playing hurt and forcing plays out. He's not 100%. So any QB coming in that back isn't hurt could be addition by subtraction, and you'll get a better line. So I feel like if you like the Saints, wait, because I don't want Winston at the quarterback anyway. If I like the Saints, you want to see Dalton or Hill out there. Winston's not 100%. He shouldn't even be out there playing, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Indianapolis here, Sharp. We got the Titans laying 3.5 points, coming off a huge win. You got the Colts also coming off a huge win versus those Kansas City Chiefs here, Shark. How are we looking at this one?
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I do think this is a sharp line. If you go back to last year, the last time these teams played, of course, there were different players, but the weighting of it does tell you a story, particularly within the division, 2 times a year. This was an overtime game last year at Lucas Oil. The game was tied 31-31, and Tennessee did get there in overtime 34-31. It was the same line. It was -3. So basically, when you're looking at this environment, you see last year -3. We go to overtime, and they bring the line right back to that. They're telling you pretty much the same story. that this is going to be a super tight divisional game. Of course, theoretically, the Colts should continue to improve. I made the comment last week. I thought their bottom out point definitely did come in Jacksonville in week 2. And I had talked about how in baseball, inevitably it comes in the middle of the summer because of fatigue and time. Whereas in football, it can just purely be in week 2 in a scheduled spot. And I think the Colts completely bottomed out. I would lean Colts here if I had to. I think the Colts are more of a buy unit. Jay, what's going on, bro? What the fuck is this?
I took the Colts, man. I took the Colts here -3, Shark. What are we doing? I'm looking at the game right now. Who had the game? Well, not the game of their life. This is what he does. A.J. Brown, 11 targets, 10 receptions, 155 yards, 1 touchdown, 57 yards. The longest one was 57 yards. He's no longer there. He's on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I really think the Titans are missing him, man. When they sign Josh Gordon and take him to the and have him on the practice squad and then elevate him for a game, that means they're really thin at wide receiver, guys. I'm glad that they won last week's game. That way they don't start out 0-3, but you get a double revenge spot from last year, man, within the division as well. I'm going to take this every single time, but with the team like the Colts, I mean, obviously I'm down on the Titans this year, and I do think the Colts are better than they showed. I like the Colts, and I must say, though, I didn't lay the 3.5. That's the thing was so tough with football. It's hard for me to give you the 3.5, and I took the 3, see what I'm saying, on that key number there. So I did bet Colts -3. I do think they should still get there with the 3.5, guys. I think that the Titans are fool's gold. Could have lost a game last week versus the Raiders as well if it wasn't for – like, if the Raiders get that 2-point conversion, it goes overtime, they probably win that game, man. These Titans are frauds, if you ask me. I think Vrabel's really close to getting fired as well. If they have a bad year, they're probably going to go ahead and get rid of Vrabel, in my opinion. Tannehill, he's losing arm strength down there. Obviously, Derrick Henry can run, but load up the box versus Henry, and I think the Colts come away with a win. And they should be getting Darius Leonard back as well, the quarterback of the defense. So I like the Colts in this one. I'll just being honest, though. I laid Colts -3. I did not lay the 3.5. Double revenge from last year's game. Give me the Colts in there. No more A.J. Brown for the freaking Titans over there. Let's go over here to the streets of New York here, Sharp. We got the Giants laying 3 points versus the Bears. Who we like?
This game for me is just a dead toss. I really don't like this game. Unfortunately, you saw what happened with the Giants laying points to the Cowboys. I think that's more systemic to divisional football. The Cowboys just absolutely own them. They've won 90% of the games over the last 20. I do think theoretically you want to buy the Giants in a bounce back here at home. However, I do go back to week 2 where they did lay 2.5 points outside of the division against Carolina, and they won by 3 points. You guys have seen this all year. These 3-point spreads, particularly with these young groups, which are kind of a snapshot to the parity of the league right now, there's just a lot of mediocre teams that are right around each other. These are sharp lines. And again, I don't think you can necessarily cross-reference Chicago week 2 at Green Bay as a road environment with outside of the division at New York. Really just a tough game for me. I think this is a dead toss.
Yeah, no, that's facts right there. Who would have thought that both of these teams would have came in at 2-1, right, Shark? Just the way that I'm looking at this game, man, I do think that the Giants are a little bit better than people are giving them credit for. They are really banged up at the receiver, guys. So I'm seeing this line move. There's no more 3.5s out there. So if you like the Bears plus 3.5, they're basically gone. But there's obviously the injury news coming out. Shepard's out for a year with the torn ACL. So tough, man. No non-contact injury and on the last play of the game. But they're really at the wide receiver position. This is all about who can stop the run, right? If the Giants can load up the box and stop the run, we're not really scared of Justin Fields passing, right? No one's really scared of Daniel Jones passing as well, but really not scared of Justin Fields having to play actual quarterback. So you make him have to play quarterback, and you make sure you stop the run as well. And I think the Giants come out here with a win. If you look at their next few games as well, got Green Bay, I believe Baltimore as well. So I feel like in theory, if the Giants look at it this way, this is a must-win game. If you really want to get anywhere, especially in a tough NFC East over there as well, this is a very winnable game for you, in my opinion. So let's see. So they got the Green Bay next. Then they have Baltimore. Then Jacksonville. I mean, they can beat Seattle, but you got somewhat of a three tough games coming up. This is a winnable game before you go out to London next week. So they could possibly be looking ahead to that game, but I'd be looking at Giants here -3. I think the Bears really are a bottom tier team in the league. They hadn't played like it so far, but over these next 4 or 5 games, I really think the Bears could lose every single game, my guys. I'd lean Giants there -3, and them coming off the Monday Night Football loss only makes it better for me, in my opinion. A lot of people just saw them lost. Giants are terrible. They're favorites here for a reason, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Baltimore here, Shark. Bills getting laying 3 points to the Ravens.
Yeah, we're going to get into the deep officials on Sunday morning. We're going to give you guys the analysis now. And, of course, a lot of smart guys in the chat. You can really take what we're saying and probably predict our officials. But I like the road team in this situation. I think when you look at what Buffalo does off the loss, it's incredibly sustainable stuff. There were teams in the NBA this year. I'm not recalling specifically off the top of my head. It was actually the Celtics. The Celtics did not lose back-to-back games for like 4 straight months. The Bills are in that category. The Bills did lose twice last year, or excuse me, back-to-back games once last year. However, that was a road game as an underdog in Tampa Bay to Tom Brady and the boys. This is not that environment. And you look at the Ravens, I think the Ravens are fool's gold. We had the Ravens in week 1 to blow out the Jets. The Jets are not very good, particularly with Joe Flacco at quarterback. And then last week, I believe, Jay, you had the Ravens to cover at New England, which is a similar environment. Road favorite at the AFC East. Now you come home and you find an underdog spot against truly the class of the sport, and you do get this environment where Buffalo's off a loss, but a game they absolutely dominated Miami. And if you really take the score off the table and you just look at that data dispersion like we mentioned before, Buffalo has dominated all 3 opponents this year. They really have just taken these teams just to the cleaners. I mean, they really are just demolishing teams. I think this is where Buffalo bounces back. And one final point, last year, Buffalo did lay an egg in Florida. It wasn't in Miami. It was in Jacksonville, but they played a really poor football game, 9-6. And they came back the following week on the road again at New York Jets. Of course, yes, the Jets are not the Ravens. But if you're just looking at what they did against the spread, they were laying 13.5 points in that game, which was a big spread. And that is hard to cover. I don't care who's playing. It's professional football. It's really hard to cover a 13.5 spread. And they did win the game with authority, I believe 45-17. So if we look at that gap, it's a big gap off the spread. I think Buffalo could get there by double digits this week. And also, one final point. We talked about this before we had them in week 1 against the Rams. When Buffalo wins, they win by double digits. They don't win tight games. So if you're on the Buffalo side here, take it and really expect potentially a smackdown.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Best team in football off of a loss. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm liking. And, man, I just kind of got this feeling that Lamar Jackson at some point, even though he's playing so well, you don't want to get – I hate to take you guys too far into my mind, but LJ playing for a new contract, whether it's with the Ravens or someone else, right? He wants an extension. At some point, and I've read that I think it was Ed Reed, tell him, like, at some point, like, if you get injured, bro, they're not gonna pay you. See what I'm saying? And he knows that, bro. So it's just in the back of my mind, I keep that in mind. It's like he doesn't want to get hurt because then your value is gonna go all the way down, or especially if you get a real bad injury. So I just got that in the back of my mind. This Ravens defense is not as good as they're playing, my guys. The Bills really could expose them as well. They may get back Joyner as well in this one. So Bills hopefully getting some of their injured guys back on defense. But I'm in the business of taking these top dogs off for loss, guys. And the Bills, they're the best team in the NFL. I'm not an expert, but I can see that the Bills are the best team in the NFL, my guys. So Ravens possibly due for a letdown as well. Yeah, I like the Bills in that one, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Houston real quick, Sharp. We got the Chargers coming off an egg. Probably their own quality was probably insulted in the game. They're pretty banged up as well. You got the Texans coming home off of 2 straight road games, playing good those 2 road games as well. Shark, how you looking at this one?
Yeah, I think this spread is probably going to be pretty sharp. I do see this game being right around a touchdown. Where I'm really looking here is the under at 44. I don't look at totals that closely. I only look when things really stand out. The only big total I played all year was the under Green Bay versus Chicago. This is very similar stuff. When I had talked about that game, I had said last year Chicago went to Green Bay and the game had 75 points and at 45 points in the second quarter. If you go back to last year and you see what happened between these 2 teams, it was very, very similar stuff, actually. Last year, the line was 45.5. and the game finished 41-29, 70 points. And it had the isolated cluster in one quarter, similar to that Green Bay game. I believe there were 38 points in the fourth quarter of that game. And so now you see a 45.5 go all the way up to 70 with a crazy cluster 38 fourth quarter. This comes down lower than the previous average at 44. And I think you're going to see potentially what you saw last week repeat itself. Justin Herbert, he's fighting through immense pain. And, the guy's a gamer. He's going to be out there, but I don't think he's even close to 100%. I think their scheme is affected. I think Houston plays good defense. I think Houston's going to really lock down in this game, and I think the under is the best look in this game. And again, as I mentioned on Sunday morning, we'll be going official with some of these looks for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm fake. That's face right there. This is a tough game. Yeah, Houston plays good defense. They can't really score. It's tough for Herbert because it's probably addition by subtraction if he doesn't play. They banged up on defense as well. Maybe Houston continues to play well. Maybe they're like last year's Lions. They lose games, but they're going to cover spreads. It's a tough one for me. In general, I'd like to back the Chargers off that terrible look there, but Herbert could literally go out any play or whatever. It's a tough game. I want to lean Chargers, but I'm not. This is one of those games that I literally just throw out at the beginning. I know that I'm not betting it, but don't necessarily like the spot for the Texans, but Chargers so banged up. It goes back to me saying this, Shark, where they say they're insulted by their own quality. I'm sure the Chargers feel that way, and they get opponent that's kind of sort of like a punching bag. They could cover this game, but let's see what happens, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Detroit here, man. Damn, I love this team, man. This team loves me back, Shark. But Lions land 3-0 ATS on a year, laying 4 points versus the Seahawks. This line did open up at 5.5, 6. It's down to 4. So money coming in on the Seahawks in this one, Shark. I think Swift is possibly out in this game. You like some here?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me of last week when we were looking at the Falcons-Seahawks game, and we were just kind of like, this is really just hard to predict. No real rivalry, not a lot of matchup data. Two teams that are not expected to do a whole lot in terms of the playoff picture. Last week we did say the Sharps were on the Falcons. We didn't like the game, but that line movement towards the Falcons last week did prove to be the winning side. And now that you see when sharp action faded the Seahawks last week correctly, now theoretically they're buying them here as a dog, which is moving the line 2 points off open, as Jay just said. I think theoretically they're telling you a Seahawks story here. And I think they're telling you one thing. The Lions laying points north 4, 5, 6 points is just tough sledding. This is not a team that's really going to lock you down on defense. You even saw it in week 2 when you had the play correctly against the Commanders. They did try to give that game back very quickly in the third quarter. This defense is not very good. It's young. It's learning. It's just not there yet. They don't play, I said 48 minutes. Man, we're close to 48 minutes, less than a month away. But 60 minutes of football, they just don't do it. They just don't do it. And based on all that, again, I know we're trying to get quick hitter here. I do think the Seahawks are probably the sharp look in this game.
Yeah, one thing I can tell you is that the Lions, they did show something there. They could have easily given it back to the Commanders, but then they scored a couple of touchdowns as well. That's what separates an average team. Well, I mean, they're still an average team, but that's what separates you from the teams that give it back. You see what I'm saying? And it also takes a level of focus as well, because you almost have to win 2 games. You won the game, you blew them out. Then now you come out of halftime thinking that it's over, so you relax. Washington comes, scores 2 straight touchdowns. Trust me, I see it. I had a lot of money on the game, so I'm like, please don't do this to me, please. And though they went on to score a touchdown to, make sure to basically win the game again. I actually liked what I saw there. It's a simple game. The defense is trash. The offense is elite. Look towards the over in this one. What I have written down is Lions team total over personally in this one, but I didn't even bet the game. I'd be looking at over. Geno Smith actually may get the ball to DK Metcalf and lock it in this game. They can score some points, and I definitely think Detroit will score some points as well. I think the over is the play in that game. You don't just stay away from the side. Let's go over here to the streets of Pittsburgh here, Shark. You got the Steelers land 3 points, and then versus the Jets, man. Those Zach Wilson is coming back likely here, Shark. You like some in this spot?
Oh, this is tough. This is a tough spot. And, I think one thing that I haven't mentioned, I wanted to mention, if you really look at this card this week, 13 games have lines less than 4 points. Mm-hmm. This is a snapshot to the parity of professional football right now. Peyton Manning's gone. Ben Roethlisberger is gone. Eli Manning's gone. Russell Wilson has moved on. Tom Brady's 45 years old. This is a completely new product, completely new generation of players, and they're very evenly matched. The top guys have not really risen to the top. You got Josh Allen and the Bills who hammer everybody, and then everybody else is right around each other. So you're seeing a lot of tight spreads this week. And I think this is a perfect example of a game that is just incredibly hard to predict. You get Mitchell Trubisky, who is just really, really pedestrian to below average, trying to get the ball out to some pretty elite wide receivers, actually. But Zach Wilson, game one on the road. We have no data. We don't really know what's going on here. Again, free play. I know people have office pools. They have to take every game. Tough to predict. I would probably lean the Jets. I think the Jets theoretically might get some win. What I saw from Mitchell last week against the Browns, so unimpressive. He's not going to get better. He's only going to get worse. I do think this is going to be sharp as all hell, though. One final point. When you go back to week 2, within the same division at home for Pittsburgh, New England was -2.5, -3, right around there. New England won the game by 3 points. So I think this -3 is right around it as well. You're really in a sharp environment here.
Yeah, it's a tough game, man. Wilson, will he look good when he comes back? I'm not so sure. The Steelers, they're coming off a tough loss. They are still a good team. They're just a lot worse than they were in previous years. So this is a tough game. You see the number as well, and that's a good point, Char. A lot of pick 'em type of games, man. It's going to be a tough week, my guys. But I'm staying so far away from that game. Let's go over to the streets of Philadelphia. We got the Eagles laying 6.5 points versus the Jags. Eagles looking really good. Jags are looking really good as well here, Shark. Do you think that the Eagles continue to dominate, my guy?
Yeah, if I had to lean one side of this game, I would lean the Eagles. Don't love the game, but I do like fading the Jaguars travel here, where you go West Coast,
Thanks.
San Diego, of course, LA. Now I still call them San Diego. Just it's where I grew up, and I like San Diego Chargers, baby. It's not the LA Chargers, but of course it is the LA Chargers. But regardless, they played a great game on the West Coast last week, complete domination, both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence really starting to look like the number one pick, as I suggested, would be very similar to Peyton Manning, campaign 1 versus campaign 2. Trevor Lawrence is showcasing exactly that. And you get this brutal travel spot to Philadelphia, who, I mean, at this point in the season, looks like the class of the NFC. I mean, we're very early. A lot can change over the course of 4.5 months, but they look elite. And we talked about this last week, but Jalen Hurts is the perfect example of a guy who is an incredible, incredible talent, throwing and running the football, and was disrespected just enough in the college ranks to get him that edge to really compete. And I made the point, I thought it reminded me of Cam Newton a little bit, going from UF to ultimately Auburn, and you obviously go from Bama to Oklahoma. When you move over like that and you get replaced in the national title game, he'll never forget that. And I think that they're finding a great camaraderie with this group. As you mentioned, A.J. Brown coming over here. I mean, these guys are best friends. It's QB and wide receiver 1. They're having a great time. They're incredibly talented. They're in the beginning of their early prime. And this is just a tough spot for Jacksonville. One final point on this game. When you look at the functionality here, you got week 2. Philadelphia laying a lot of points outside of the division to Minnesota. They hammered them. And week 1 for Jacksonville at the NFC East as an underdog, a non-cover. I think it tells you a reasonable story. I would lean Philadelphia here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It could get a huge letdown from the Jags. Well, not betting against the Eagles, man. This is all the talk that was coming in the offseason. Now we're starting to see it. This team is loaded over there. That Hurts is like he's taking the next step. A.J. Brown, this guy's freaking unstoppable, man. I don't know. He may like Hopkins was my favorite receiver at first, but I don't like cheaters. And hopefully he didn't cheat, man, because I really like Hopkins. But I don't know, man. Brown he's become my favorite, man. I fucks with him. I fucks with him over there. But yeah, Eagles should. That's a good point there. They're already a East Coast team. Had to fly West Coast. Dominated, right? Now they could be a little too high on themselves. Now having to fly all the way back cross country as well there. So it's gonna be a tough one over there. Definitely lean the Eagles. Let's go over to the streets of Dallas, D-Town, baby. How about them? No, what they say? We them boys, but regardless of it, Cowboys land 3.5 versus the Redskins / Commanders here, Shark. You have the Commanders colors on. What are we doing in this one?
I do, and I also have a Commanders buy hat in the mail. Should be arriving tomorrow afternoon. I will be rocking that, and we'll drop this unofficially now, but we're looking with significance towards Washington here. And I think there's just a lot going on here. I mean, the first thing I'll say is you got Cooper Rush, 2-0 ATS as a starter. But I think it was more situational to the opponent. We talk about this all the time. Was it you guys being so good, or was your opponent so bad? And I think when you look at Cincinnati completely laid an egg, uninspired. I don't even know what was going on there in week 2. And then they went to the Giants. They owned the Giants. The Giants were 2-0. Giants were coming off a couple big wins. Giants are just not that team that can really back up success with success week after week after week. So I think, again, it's not so much the Cowboys being great ATS with Cooper Rush. It's the opponent. Now you go to the other side of this. Washington, I think we really quickly have to adjust our narrative with Washington based on their schedule so far. Mm-hmm. When they beat Jacksonville in week 1, I think people thought, okay, Jacksonville is still Jacksonville. They suck. Jacksonville is not bad. Blowout win against the Colts, blowout win against the Chargers. Jacksonville made a run in that game to get to neutral in the fourth quarter in week 1. Jacksonville's pretty damn good. So that's an impressive win for Washington. Then they go on the road. They get hammered at Detroit. Detroit is a lot better than people thought. Detroit is 3-0 ATS. So now how unimpressive or impressive is this? We have to quickly change our evaluation of teams in pro football because, again, we only get 17 games. So I was saying this on Twitter the other day, 4 games in NFL football, that's 20 games in NBA basketball. And in 20 games, you do change your expectations. You see what's going on. This schedule is a lot harder. And then the final point I'll just quickly make. Last week, they get blown out by Philadelphia. People did not know Philadelphia was going to be this good. So if you really look at this calendar, Jacksonville, Detroit, and Philadelphia, that's some tough shit right there. And I think that really they fought through it, and now they catch a double revenge game against Dallas. Super short number. Dallas is way too hot and on a short week. We're looking at Washington here with significance, as I said before.
Yeah, and the number looks short as well, man. And you also getting some double revenge within the division from last year as well, Shari. And the line is going down. Obviously, there were different teams, but double revenge spot in the division from last year, man. I can't talk myself off. And like you said, I mean, I'm still counting money from that Lions game, but they did try to come out in the second half, 2 straight touchdowns. So this one's on Wentz. It's simple. If Wentz doesn't turn the ball over, they'll likely win this game. If they let Micah Parsons and stuff blow up the line of scrimmage, and to keep letting the Cowboys defense dominate, it's going to be a tough day for Wentz back there. I'm not in a rush to put my money on this guy, but this definitely it's definitely the Commanders, the Redskins are nothing for me. Coming off 2 straight losses, Cowboys coming off 2 straight wins. I always talk about this. You want to take the team that's coming off the loss, that's pissed off all week during the practice, that needs to bounce back. Not necessarily, I mean, it's not always the case, but just like it's something that makes me feel better about it. And then the team that's fat and happy, oh, we're so good. Cooper Rush, maybe he's starting to feel himself. You see his wife getting all over Twitter and stuff. Maybe he's starting to feel himself just a tad bit much. Redskins still do have some key pieces over there that they can get this win with. Divisional type of game. Definitely look towards the dog. Yeah, heavy lean to the Redskins for me on this one, my guys. Let's go. A few more games here, Shark. I got to talk about this one, man. Let's talk about this one, Streets of Carolina, real quick, and then we'll go to the streets of Atlanta. You got the Panthers here, Shark. They've beaten the Cardinals 6 straight times, have basically owned the Cardinals, bro. Cardinals hadn't looked well so far. They are 1-0 on the road. What are we doing? You took Carolina last week. Do you think that they're back, or can we go with the Cardinals in this one?
Oh, man, this game is really, really tough. I had written down the other night, let me pull my sheet here because I was doing some loose leans. I had just said to myself, without even handicapping the game, things that I wanted to look at, and I said fade Arizona in the first half. So that's just a loose point that I had in my mind, and I don't even know if that's data backed in any way, but just a feel, just a snapshot of sometimes I just take notes that just my read on the environment and the energy of the game. As you mentioned, uncannily, because this is out of division stuff, these teams don't really have any sort of rivalry or anything. Carolina has owned Arizona, and this is obviously through multiple quarterbacks and coaching changes, but this is a multi-generational domination, including last year. You go back to last year, this is a game that Kyler Murray did not play. Colt McCoy was the quarterback, I believe. 34-10 Carolina, an absolute blowout. They come home here. I've said it every single week. I will probably say it all year. Carolina games are always going to be tight lines. This is just where they are in this middle ground of competition in the NFL. They fall right in the middle of the pack. It's going to be a tight game. Truthfully, I don't love the game, if I'm being honest. I think this is going to be another one of those Kyler Murray games where you're really down to probably the final possession in the fourth quarter, and it's going to be a coin flip on it.
Yeah, I wanna take the Cardinals here, man. I want to take the Cardinals. Yeah, there was Cam Newton and PJ Walker that were starting that game, man. Carolina won outright as 7-point underdogs. At some point, this shit's gonna flip, man. If there's gonna be a year, if there's gonna be a situation, it's gonna be right now. I'm not sold on this Panthers team, not sold on Baker Mayfield as well. I like that they're coming off a win. That way, it's not an absolute must-win game. Cardinals coming off coming off another loss versus the Rams and that one after that lucky win versus the Raiders, which they probably should have lost that game as well. So the Cardinals are really down this year, but it's like who's more down, the Cardinals or the Panthers? And I really think a lot of people are thinking that Rule is really close to being fired, guys, even though they're saying that they're going to keep him on. This guy has been very lackluster, especially in the favorite role as well. Baker Mayfield, also a guy that I'm not willing to lay points. It's only 1.5, but I think that because the Panthers had just won the first game in after 9 games, right, in the last game. So they had won their first time in a while, maybe a little fat and heavy. I've leaned Cardinals in there. I like the Cardinals, hadn't taken it yet, but I'm pretty close to you're not going to get dominated by the Panthers forever with these two teams here. I think the Cardinals are in a better position to get off the schneid in this one, Shark. Let's go over here to the streets of Atlanta real quick. We got the Falcons getting a 1.5 versus the Browns here. Falcons, damn, is this a first game back home off the road trip spot like we do in the NBA, Shark? You like something here?
I do. And again, as I said, we'll really make these official on Sunday morning. But we are looking at the road team here with significance. This is a trend on this broadcast, and Jay said it. And it's an absolute fact. You are catching a brutal travel spot for the Falcons, who just went 2-0 ATS on the West Coast. They were down 28-3 against the Rams and started to backdoor it. Eventually got, I believe, a blocked punt or a pick six in the fourth quarter to cover the spread. Just the Rams not caring, really, when it comes down to it late in that game. And then, of course, a win against the Seahawks, who are very, very down this year with Geno Smith and the boys. So you get a team that is uncannily 3-0 ATS, off an outright win, coming back home off a Western trip. What I said last week would probably be a vacation type of thing out there. They come home, talk about fat and happy, talk about way too hot from any sort of statistical sustainability expectation. This team is due to give one away and probably get hammered in the process. And I think if you look back at Cleveland in week 1 in the same division on the road at Carolina, they did cover the game. They came out well in the first half as well. I'm also looking at first half here for Cleveland, because I think oftentimes we talk about this reversal. When you come out flat in your home stadium, which they did do the last game against Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh was up 14-13 at the half before Cleveland pushed late to cover the spread. I think on the road, they did do this at Carolina. They came out, I believe they're up 17-0 real quick. They might come out here real hot, and I think it might get a little tight in the third or fourth quarter, but I think Cleveland is a very, very good look here.
Yeah, that's a good point there, my guy. I'm looking at the Browns in this one as well, my brother. Like you said, Hawks coming off that West Coast road trip. They went and played the Rams, got smacked up, and then showed some fight there. This team is 3-0 against the spread, man, even though they're 1-2 straight up as well. So usually teams that start out 3-0 against the spread are not real good. I think it's like 40-some% against the spread historically. It's on Twitter, man. I've seen it, but just the main thing is don't necessarily have to know the numbers. You want to sell the teams that's coming in off 3-0 against the spread, because what is the public going to do? Oh, they've covered every game so far. We're just going to blindly take them this time. It's not necessarily a situation you'd like to be in here. They come home first time in a while. You gotta get right with the family. Let's just put it that way, man. Specifically, your significant other, my guys. But gotta get right. And yeah, the Browns defense. Hopefully, Myles Garrett does play in this one. He did have a little incident, but hadn't been ruled out. Definitely lean the Browns in this one. It's crazy, Shark, because they've actually played well. Like Brissett looks like he's ready for this, bro. So that's what I'm looking at it. Brissett looked like he was turned up in that last game. I like what I was seeing. And Cordero Patterson as well, the main running back for the Falcons, may not be playing this week, guys. So just a tad bit of injury news for you guys as well. You could arguably one of the most important players on their offense outside of Mariota, guys. So I always like bringing my guys inside info. Let's go over here to the streets of Vegas. Here we got the Las Vegas Raiders here, Shark. man, Vegas can have some bad juju sometimes, my guys. Maybe Denver goes. I felt bad juju in Vegas before, Shark. Maybe the Broncos go over there and find some bad juju here. What you like?
Yeah, top play of the week. We're taking the home team here at Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada, 425, 125 out there. Las Vegas Raiders minus 2 units. And Jay was saying it. Bad juju, Vegas, gambling, whatever. Distraction is very, very real. But you have to really look at Las Vegas here. I mean, this is the absolute buy environment you want. You want a team that went to the playoffs last year. You want a team that is 0-3 ATS, 0-3 straight up. And all three were really tight window type of games. Week 1 was not super tight at the Chargers, which, Jay, of course, you had correctly. However, they were right there on the spread late. 1 2-point conversion away from losing the game by 3 points and covering plus 3.5. Week 2, up big, blew it. We had the side correctly with Arizona. But again, one final play to get to that point. And then last week, same thing. Final play, 2-point conversion to go to overtime with all the momentum in the world. And you come back home here, you get a line number. This is the first time they've been favored against Denver in a while. It's showcasing what we talk about all the time, the Vegas algorithms moving the average towards them in terms of strength. And you look at Denver. Denver's just in shambles. Denver has 2 wins on the season. They beat the Texans barely. The Texans are terrible. Texans cannot score points on the road outside of the division. And somehow Denver only won that game by 7 points late, just disastrous. And then really just a pathetic display of football, 11-10 against Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners last Sunday night. I mean, just awful, awful stuff. I don't think it's going to correct itself anytime soon. I think Josh McDaniels gets his first win with this franchise. I think it could come with a certain amount of authority here.
Did McDaniels used to coach didn't he used to be the offensive coordinator for the Broncos?
Head coach.
If I'm not mistaken, head coach for the Broncos? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, so that, man, I think we just came up with something, man. I think we just came up with something. It's simple for me. Absolute must-win spot for the Raiders. I'm not betting against it. It's real simple with me, guys. It's either I'm taking the Raiders or I'm off this game. And I bet the Raiders money line before me and Shark even talked about this game. It was at 2. It's up to 2.5. I still like it. The money line is basically minus 130, minus 140, or you can lay the 2.5. They should win this game by a touchdown or more. Broncos have a lame duck coach. Wilson looks like he's missed a step. Jerry Jeudy over there is a little banged up as well, but he's probably going to play. This team is somewhat riding of a high as well, right? They're cool. They're not in desperation mode anymore. Football, NFL wise, I like to take the team with desperation mode. Hopefully Carr and Adams can have a good day. It's simple. Hopefully the offense, hopefully Carr is working. The only thing I don't like is that him and McDaniel seem like they kind of been butting heads. Like Kyler Murray and Kingsbury. I don't like inner turmoil, but this is an absolute must win. It's simple. There's no other way to look at it. Raiders, or I'd stay off the game. Not saying that it's a guarantee, but I wouldn't take the Broncos in this spot, my guys. That one more game here, Sharp. We got the Packers laying 9.5 points versus the New England Patriots here, 325, 330 type of game here, Shark. What we doing, man? The Packers going to take the Patriots to Smack City? No Mac Jones.
I don't know. This is tough. It's just a gross line. You know, where you're at 9.5, 10. You got a backup quarterback, Brian Hoyer, journeyman, but has played with the Patriots in different stints over the course of his career. Green Bay, I believe, goes to London after the game. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
London travel, we saw it last week. Both teams didn't cover. It's definitely a look-ahead environment, I believe. New England, again, outside of the division, this line, you know, you made the comment when you disregarded the Chargers line right off the bat. This game for me was just one of those games where I'm looking at the whole card. This is just not where I'm looking to bet, really.
Yeah, I know who is looking to bet this. Everybody's on the Packers, guys. The way I look at games, it's crazy that this line, that most of the money's on the Packers, and it come down from 10.5 of 11, 10.5, 10, now down to 9.5, guys. I see the prediction. I think the Packers win this game by 7 points. Straight up, win the game. It's a win-win for everybody. They don't give a damn about covering the spreads for everybody. I see the whole world being on Green Bay. Well, maybe not the whole world, because people will see Patriots getting points. Bill Belichick, they'll probably ride with them. But Mac Jones didn't look too good, in my opinion. I know Hoyer's not the greatest quarterback, but sometimes you get the addition by subtraction, especially when player's not looking so good or he's banged up. The backup is probably 100%, right? He's going to look a little bit better. He can actually throw the ball downfield as well, guys. So way I'm looking at it, you definitely get the injured player theory as well here, Shark. It's simple, man. I like the Patriots in this one, guys. I like the Patriots plus the 10. It's down to 9.5 now, but I see one of those games that's just a huge public fade. Everybody on the Packers, and the Patriots actually might look a little better in this game. And can't rule out Belichick as well. As long as his defense comes to play in this one, then he can keep them within the game. So I see Packers to win this game by 7, guys. You don't have to bet the game. It's up to you guys, but that's what I see. I see Packers winning this one by 7, Shark. That's it, man. You gonna talk about the Monday Night Football game, Shark, or what? Or you want to go ahead and we got it's Kansas City versus Bucs. Any thoughts?
Oh, the Sunday night game.
Sunday night. Sorry, Bucs versus Chiefs. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much on this. As I say almost every week, I do look at that game a little bit later on. I go through the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clocks. This is going to be tough. You saw last week, very similar type of game for Tampa Bay at home. Basically a pick-em line against Green Bay. You get an out-of-division contender. Same thing here, out-of-division contender. Chiefs coming in here. The under seems to be a sustainable thing now for the Bucs. I do always wonder, how long will it go? When something becomes too clean, oftentimes that's when it goes the other direction, just purely law of averages. The Bucs are due to score more points, but again, they don't have their personnel on the offense side of the ball. They do get Mike Evans back off a 1-game suspension. Chiefs come in here. Chiefs off a loss. Obviously, we had that last week. The contrarian special, Indianapolis Colts win the game outright, 20-17. Theoretically, you'd like to take the Chiefs based on that because that was the look-ahead game last week. This is the game that they were looking ahead towards. I would lean Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are just better right now, and it sounds square as all hell, but sometimes the square side will hit.
Facts. That happens. The Bengals last week was square as fuck, Shark. I don't give a damn. The square plays are gonna hit sometimes. How many times do the Sharps get their teeth kicked in for overthinking the game? And then here comes Joe Public, just literally do 2 seconds of capping and they cash out. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes we literally can overthink things, guys. Trust me, it's happened to me. I used to think super public, winning games, losing. Then I go to sharp side, losing games as well. But none of that shit matters, man. Especially NFL, I just like to look at it the simple way. And you said it, Sharks. The KC's offense definitely a whole lot better. Tampa Bay 4-0 against the spread last 4 meetings and 3-1 straight up. But this year, this Tampa Bay, the Bucs defense is elite, Shark. They are, but the offense is. Brady's 45 years old. How's it supposed to look, guys? What are we doing? But yeah, I'd lean Chiefs. I usually don't bet the Sunday night games unless I really have a strong. It's tough because one of these 2 teams are going to lose back-to-back games there, man. It's really tough. Chiefs were at -2.5 to 3, now down to 1. So heavy money coming in on the Bucs. It's a tough one, man. Look, Jerry in the chat, Tampa money line, his top play there. He's saying the defense too good. You talk about a sharp game, Sharp. That's the sharpest one, man. But let's get to some free picks here, Sharp. It's free NFL picks, my brother. What you liking this week?
Yeah, and just one final point on that game. Of course, they were really affected by the hurricane over there. So this game might not be played in Tampa Bay. If it's a neutral site game, I mean, I don't even know what to make of that. So that brings us back to the pandemic when games were being played on weeknights and empty stadiums and all sorts of shit. So there's a lot of different moving parts in that game. But top play for tonight, it is a beautiful, suddenly not so casual, September 29th, 2022. Cincinnati Bengals at home -3.5. We discussed it before in detail. Effectively, what you want to fade here is you want to fade a 3-0 Miami Dolphins team, ATS, coming on a short week off a huge win, double revenge game in the division against Buffalo, a game where the final score did not really tell you the flow of the game from any sort of statistical manner. Buffalo dominated the game. And prior to that, Baltimore dominated Miami too. So Miami has gotten away with murder twice. Cincinnati at home here. Top look tonight. And on Sunday, my top play is Las Vegas Raiders, 2 units to get off the schneid in every possible way within the division against the Broncos at -2. A pleasure as always, Jay. NBA starts October 18th. We will be here for you guys 6 days a week. It will be the absolute fire. I can't wait to do it. I even called football 48 minutes earlier. I'm clearly getting in that mindset. So beautiful day, beautiful time. Thanks for having me as always, Jay, and let's fucking dominate.
That's a good point, Ron. Yeah, always, Shark, as always, man. They need you off in here, man, these Thursday night games. This is the show where we break down all the games for the week, guys. So if you're looking for early looks, man, every Thursday we're going to be here breaking you guys off. Man, Ron definitely pointed something out to me, man, the Super Bowl revenge, man. Good God. How could I not hop on that, man? How could I not hop on that? What are we doing here? Yeah, heavy lean Chiefs. We're gonna see what's and people hopping on me in the chat saying that the hurricane didn't hit Miami, but we know for a fact it hit Tampa Bay, my guys. But I was seeing it like, how could it not? Isn't Miami down there on the south, like on the south part of Florida, right?
It came from the side angle, so
side angle.
It went around Miami, literally, just crazily, but it did.
So they're going to get heavy rain and shit, though, right?
It came underneath Florida, and then once it was around the southern portion, it took a hard dive to the right, back into the center of the state. So Miami,
we got somebody in chat telling me don't take something. That shit hits at a high rate, man, when somebody tell me that. But yeah, it's a tough game. I still lean Chiefs, though. I But for me, I took Bengals minus the 3, my guys. I still like it. I'll get an official piece for Sunday as well, man. I took Colts minus the 3. And I need the Giants as well, man. I don't care. I'll give it official. Nobody likes it. They have a ton of injuries at the wide receiver position. They could be looking ahead to the London game too, Shark. It's very possible. But simple cap, the way I look at it, the Giants, if they see an opportunity, if you want to win some games, like you're not beating Green Bay over there. So if you want to win a game, get this win over the Bears, in my opinion. You're going to lose the next 2 games more than likely to the Packers and the Ravens, and probably lose in Jacksonville as well. So this is the new team, new coach. And I think he can fire the team up better than the Bears first head coach over there as well, my guys. So 3 plays for me. Bengals tonight, minus the 3. I'll go official with the 3.5 with you guys. Colts minus 3 as well. And I'm taking the Giants minus 3. Honorable mentions, my guys. Lions, team total overs, possibly trifecta spot, but full game for sure. Team total over. Redskins plus the 3.5. Bills minus 3, a top dog off a loss. Raiders. I want to tell you, new stadium fix. Sorry, guys, or people don't want to hear it. Sorry. Patriots plus the 10, injured player theory, and the public side of the week. Chiefs, Super Bowl revenge, and lost 31-9 last year as well in the Super Bowl. And then 49ers, lean 49ers as well on Monday, my guys, on Monday. Cardinals as well, leaning first. So, Sharp, real quick. Cardinals, I have written down here that first quarter team total over. I saw some interviews about Cardinals needing to start faster. Well, I just want to ask you real quick, why were you thinking they were a fade in the first half?
Purely because that's what they've done, and they just have become this team that does the same thing in every single environment. Like we talked about this last week. They started out 7-0 last year, and people thought they were really damn good. It's proven that was just a little heater. So since that's gone, now they just purely play well on the road and play poorly at home. But again, it's not always in the first half. And what you saw at Vegas in week 2, I mean, they were getting demolished in the first half. Mm-hmm. I don't really know. I think that game is really tough. There was one point about that game that I was actually going to make. It's eluding me now, though. But there was something about that game that was funky. I'll remember it. I'll bring it up on Sunday morning. But
yeah, just hit me up. But yeah.
It's tough stuff. I just think that's tough stuff. And I think those 2 teams are just incredibly well graded against each other. So
yeah, last thing I got to say on that one, the Panthers are in a 0-32 spot, 0-32-1 spot, guys. So just let you know, for all the SDQL people out there, the Panthers are in a 0-32-1 against the spread spot. Doesn't mean that it's guaranteed, but for me, guys, Bengals tonight, Colts, then the Giants, and then heavy leans to Redskins, Lions team total over, Bills, Raiders, Patriots, Chiefs, 49ers, Cardinals, my guys. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We appreciate your time as well. Please come in the chat and tell me not to take something, my guys. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe, go follow Shark on the Twitter at Sharks in Sports. You can follow me as well at JMoneyIsMoney. Let's get this fucking cash, my guys. Take these books to Smack City. We out.